it's one of the biggest retail projects underway in Massachusetts. After several failed attempts to build a mall along Route 128 in Westwood, a sprawling development is finally going up. WGBH News reporter Gail Huff visited the construction site and fills us in on renewed plans for Westwood's industrial park.
Desolate and depressing, this stripped land in Westwood is a reminder of the construction slump that has gripped Massachusetts over the past decade. 3 times, plans to turn the Westwood Industrial Park into a high-end mall were scrapped. And this is prime real estate, 138 acres at the junction of Routes 128 and 95.
The retail community were shutting down businesses, not starting new operations. It was very difficult to have the whole thing stop and wonder when would it pick up again, what would it become, who would control it.
But 2013 brought in a new team and a project half the original size.
It can be built in chunks and phases where the original plan wasn't really considered feasible.
That makes it easier to finance over a period of 4 years. And there are other motivators.
You've got kind of an uptick in the economy where the original project was going right into the slide of a downturn. The economy's better now.
Calling it a little city, stores and restaurants are combined with affordable housing and assisted living.
We saw that in a hole in this market that there's an elderly care hole. There isn't enough beds for the elderly in this area.
There will be about 100 elderly rental units, and across the street from the train station, 351 and 2-bedroom apartments. On the retail side, Target and Wegmans are the 2 anchor stores. A Nordstrom Rack and Lifestyle Fitness Club will appeal to upscale clients.
They've got great things for kids while the parents work out. They've got pools, outdoor pools, indoor pools, a little bit of everything.
With retail shops slated to open in 2015, providing about 2,000 jobs, Westwood's blighted industrial park promises to be a shopping, dining, and living destination. In Westwood, Gail Huff, WGBH News.
So does this signal a broader economic rebound? David Begelfer is the CEO of NAIOP, an organization that lobbies on behalf of commercial real estate companies. Welcome, David.
Glad to be here.
This is a huge project, and as we said earlier, it failed 3 times to get off the ground. So are we seeing more of this kind of stuff going on?
Yeah, I don't think that this is just signaling a change. This is actually part of the big change that's happening along 128. You have it up in Burlington, very big happenings up there. Live, work, play seems to be the big key. In Waltham, you started seeing the same transformation in there for having housing mixed in. And now this is the natural one to come after we've seen Boston and Cambridge and some of the other surrounding areas starting to show growth in the last 2-3 years. So this is now showing it's moving its way out.
The one in Quincy has had problems with union issues and stuff like that, but funding has always been the issue. They dramatically scaled back this operation in Westwood, and it decided to put it in phases rather than do the whole thing at once.
Yeah, and I think that financing is a challenge for some projects, but there are other projects that are not having any problems at all. What we're seeing right now for a project like Westwood, the markets are there to support a certain amount of housing, a certain amount of retail, virtually no office. And office is still going to be on a speculative, not a speculative basis, but a built-to-suit basis. But for the retail, definitely is a market for that. And for housing, you're going to see a lot more of it coming. But this is the first phase.
And the idea is this is going to appeal to everybody, not just people who lived in that suburban area.
Now, this has been a prime project that should have happened before, but for the terrible downturn that we had. It's a transit-oriented development. I mean, you can be downtown in about 8 minutes.
Yeah.
You have the retail that's underserved in the whole area around there, and housing costs for single-family houses are quite high. This gives an alternative.
All right, let's bring in another voice who happens to be a familiar face. Tim Murray took over as the head of the Worcester Chamber of Commerce in May after stepping down as Massachusetts Lieutenant Governor. Welcome, Tim Murray. And you've got a big project going on out in Worcester, too.
That's right. It's the City Square project. Back when I was mayor, we proposed tearing down a dead mall, which was 22 acres in the core of the city, next to Worcester's Union Station, the MBTA, WRTA, and private train hub. And ultimately, the goal was to go back to the future, tear down the mall, recreate the street grid that linked the downtown with the neighborhoods, and create a term that David just used, a transit-oriented development, a mixed use. And I'll say that that project continued to move forward during the Great Recession, when we saw projects in Boston and the greater Boston area shelved or never taken out of the drawer. And it went forward in large part because of some local companies in Worcester, Hanover Insurance, led by Fred Eppinger, Unum, and St. Vincent Hospital. So several of the parcels have been built upon, and hopefully in the next week, the Worcester City Council will sign off on Phase 2.
Okay, well, the key to success here is getting to these places, and rail is key. Are you going to be able to do that in Worcester?
Well, this 22-acre site is literally next to Worcester's Union Station, which is one of the reasons the developers have cited why they've moved forward and continued to invest in this project. Next month, 20 round-trip trains between Worcester and Boston in the Metro West area, something we've been working on for years.
20 a day?
20 a day. Governor Patrick gave me the ability to work that and complete the CSX deal, which not only benefits Worcester tremendously in Metro West, but it's going to benefit Boston with the almost 80 acres of Beacon Park Yard opening up, and South Coast Rail as well. So we're excited that this is moving forward, and having New England's second largest city downtown core growing and thriving is a benefit to the entire Commonwealth.
What about the Westwood area? How's that reachable, other than, I mean, it's right on 128 and 95. I mean, you can't do much better than that by car, but...
Well, actually, you can do better, and that's the DOT is putting in improvements for the 128 there. There's for the intersection. So an awful lot of this project was dependent upon having some infrastructure invested in the area, and that's an awful lot that you're going to see across the state. Sometimes you need a catalyst, and in this particular case, it was the issue about highway access, because you always have the train, and that's very good. You still need to have the automobile have access into that area.
So both of these projects are going to have housing that's, well, affordable is, let's face it, relatively, you know, dependent on your circumstances, but it's downtown, or it's got suburban in the case of Worcester, I mean, in Westwood. And the idea is it gives you mobility, so you can work in the cities or get back and forth very quickly and have an affordable place to...
Well, that's it. And again, this whole concept, you're going to hear this a lot going forward, the live, work, play, the sense of being able to, if you only worked one place and had no retail, if you had to travel a long distance to get there, all these concepts are playing off, as I said, in Burlington. Certainly Boston is the key to this, where you're now trying to bring in a lot more residential so that people can have the work environment and also the play environment. The young professionals coming in love Kendall Square and all that. The housing isn't quite great there, so Boston is a great attraction to be able to provide all those things.
There's still no place to grocery shop.
Well, in Worcester, the 350 units of market rate housing is part of the Phase 2 City Square project, again, literally right next to the Union Station, the MBTA station. So it gives people options to work in Boston, to live in Worcester. Also, we're hopeful that some of the companies that might be growing and expanding, looking for a little bit more affordable places to grow. Downtown Worcester provides that accessibility now with the trains and the Route 146 Mass Pike connector.
All right, look forward to stopping in on both these projects. Tim Murray, thanks so much for coming. David McGilfer, thank you.
Our pleasure, Emily.